Welcome back to the Alpha Coach podcast, guys. Buckle up because today we're joined by the one and only Mustafa Ahmed. This guy is like I would say, a fitness legend who's been shaping lives and bodies for like a whopping 18 plus years now. He's now based in Bombay, but started his journey from Delhi. And this guy doesn't like just talk fitness, right? This guy lives it. He breathes it. And I'm sure even in his dreams, he's always thinking about fitness only. Now, he has trained like the biggest stars in Bollywood, right? From Hrithik Roshan to Ranveer Singh, Vicky Kaushal, Tamanna Bhatia, Yami Gautam. I don't even remember the others that he's trained. So many other Bollywood A-Listers. And then also a lot of South Indian stars, right? And I'll let him tell us about all the people that he trains and what it's like then later on in the podcast. But I think fitness was probably, as I always joke with him, that was the only thing he knows, right? And that was always his calling. And when that opportunity knocked, he got his first job in fitness first, and he rose up the ranks very, very quickly. I think he didn't just like sort of open the door; he sort of broke through it, dashed through it. I mean, although he says that his coaching philosophy is literally impossible to explain, but I think it's really complex because it covers every aspect of, what we call as human conditioning and movement and how the body is supposed to move, right? So anything that makes you stronger, faster, or better, then Mustafa is your man for you. Now, here's where it gets fun, right? If you ask him what he's best at outside of fitness, he's very modest and he'll say, "Yeah, I don't know anything. All I know is training, fitness, all that time and giving a lot of gyan on Instagram." But don't be fooled because this guy's true superpower, honestly, I think is in his love for friends and fun. 14. So Mustafa, mere dost, mere bhai.
Thank you. Yeah, let me just say that this is my very first podcast ever. So this will be really, really special. It'll be something that that I've never done before. And when you messaged, you asked me, it was a no-brainer. I said, of course. I thought it would be best to do it with somebody who not only who's a brother to me, but I feel somebody who I've had epic banters with. I think I've had disagreements with many arguments, many debates. But at the end of the day, I think one thing that is absolutely mutual is the love, respect, and admiration we have for each other. So I'm very excited about this one. I feel it's just something that we probably have done many a times before. But this time, I think it'll be like, for everybody to see, everybody to learn from, maybe take away things from which me and you have shared over the years, over a decade. We both aspire to not only just focus on our growth. We've always made sure that people around us are also growing. So yeah, this will be nice. Yeah, this will be fun. I'll be nice. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Done, done, done. So guys, fun fact, how Mustafa and I met, right? I'm just going to add to that little bit of a background. So I remember we should both go to CrossFit. And we should both do CrossFit. And I was honestly in the 7 a.m. batch because I used to have a regular 9 to 5 job and back in the day. And then Mustafa, I'd never seen this guy, right? But I remember this was Eid and I had a chutti. And I remember saying, okay, let me go for like the 10 a.m. batch. And I go for the 10 a.m. batch. And obviously, I was back of the line with beginners and stuff because I'd literally joined a couple of months back. And I see this one guy who's like topless. I saw him. We were doing, we were doing, thrusters or we were doing,
No, yeah,
I think we were doing
overhead
thrusters or
presses. Yeah.
snatches, right? One of them. And I saw this guy lift up, I think you lifted up, 80 kgs above your head. And I was like, zonked. I couldn't lift 30, right? And I'm like, that is how much I probably squat. And this guy effortlessly is putting it up over his head. And I literally, at the end of the class, I went up to him and said, dude, never seen a guy who's this strong. I mean, what do you do? And, he told me, I'm a fitness coach and all. And I literally thought that he's just like a fitness enthusiast. Then I found out properly that he's a fitness coach and reached out to him on Instagram, called him, start training with the guy. And then 2 years later, then the rest is history. We started Acro Fitness. We did a lot of stuff together. That's where all the debates and arguments and all the conversations and animated stuff happened. But yeah, 10 years, yeah, Mustafa, amazing. So
Yeah,
when you just think about it, it just hits you like, whoa, we know each other for a decade.
yeah. No, it's been a long time. It's been a quite a learning journey. I think since you asked me this question that that what was my philosophy of training, I always feel like that we can use the word training now, but I've always believed that, that movement is a part of our DNA. We've been created for it. I look at training from a perspective of just like, as a way to live. I think it's a method to become a better version of yourself, a better person, because it's just engraved in the way, like, in the way your creator made you to be. He didn't made you to order on Swiggy or to, like, be this person who's constantly relaxed and sitting and everything is at the tip of the hand, with the AI coming in specially. So I feel somewhere, if you can, I mean, if I can put it in words, I want to kind of, like, explain to everybody that to live the best life possible, you must go ahead and understand that movement is a part of your DNA.
So, Mustafa, would love to understand and learn from where you start off. Like, what were those initial beginnings? Like, what got you interested into fitness? How do you end up becoming a coach? What are your first experience like? Can you just tell our viewers, please?
So we've had this conversation, me and you, many times, but I'll keep it brief here because we're restricted for time. In short, yeah, I was in the call center, like, world. This is back in, like, 2001, 2002. I think some of your listeners may have not been born even probably then. But that's when I started here, and then I think I was doing really well. And imagine in 2004 or five, I was drawing a salary of ₹1 lakh as a team leader. I was the youngest team leader, in the company that I was working. But I was always training. I was always, like, into exercising. I was always, like, going to the gym, making sure that I was in decent health. And I think just one incident happened here. This is, I used to go to this fancy gym, Phi Action, which was in Janakpuri. And there was this lady, I used to see her just doing, like, these random exercises. She must have been in, like, mid 40s, I think 45, 46, if I'm not wrong. And I'm going to be very, like, honest about this. Yeah. So trainers usually are very interested in either training the girls or they're interested in training, like, young guys and, like, in the same category of age that, that they can chill around with, talk to and all. So I feel like, she would get kind of, like, ignored or, like, just being told, yeah, do this exercise or that exercise. So one day I don't know, for whatever reason, but she was very graceful. So I just walked up to her. I said, listen, I introduced myself. I said, I see you doing these exercises and I don't think so. If you don't mind, I would, if it's okay with you, I would like to kind of, like, help you out, maybe just give you a workout and you can do it and I'll just keep an eye if that's okay with you. And she was like, yeah, that'll be very nice. That'll be very kind of you. So I started to help her around. And before I know it, I think about 2 months have gone by. And I remember one day she came to the gym and she walked up to me and then she gave me this kind of, like, like an envelope kind of a thing that she gave me. And it was very awkward. Yeah, imagine West Delhi ka gym, the kind of mindset people have, and everybody was, like, looking and staring, ke, ho kya raha hai? Like, what's happening? Like, So she said, Mustafa, I want you to take this and don't open it now. Go back home and open it. And I got very scared. I was like, okay, I didn't know if it was like, what it was. Was it money? Was it some love letter? What it was? So however, like, I
What were
went
you
home.
hoping
I
for?
remember
Okay, let
I was just very, like, you get, like, really worried because everybody was just staring. Everybody was thinking, okay, and everybody knew that I used to talk to her, help her out. So I went back home and I opened the, like, envelope and there was, like, a letter that was written in it. And she had written to me that, Mustafa, I've been married for, like, over a decade now, and me and my husband both are into, like, professional work. And then it said that we haven't been really, like, kind of, like, romantically involved with each other for a very long time because of work and everything. It was a week ago that my husband came to me and he said that I seem to have found myself and I must continue doing whatever I'm doing. And that, that he would love to take me out on a dinner. And then she wrote that somewhere what
cool.
you've done has changed things in me. And I clearly remember that she had written this, that you are meant for this, you are born for this is your life's calling. And if you don't listen to it, it will be criminal. So please listen to your life's calling. And I don't know, I don't know what happened. I don't know, something just, the way she had written it, kya tha, mujhe idea nahi hai. That just triggered something here. Uske baad, after 1 week, I remember going to my assistant manager and saying, I'm quitting. I want to explore this. And he said that you've lost your mind. He said, you're crazy. He said, you're 20, 21-year-old. You're your youngest team leader in the company. You're drawing a salary of like 80,000 to a lakh rupees. You cannot be serious. I said, no, I'm serious. I think I want to do this. And that was it. I'm somebody who just like, who takes decisions very spontaneously, believing in like, that there is something out there that is kind of driving me to do so. Though I don't think everybody should do it. It has worked for me, but I feel like everybody should be calculative like you are. I think you are way more like, wiser in that sense. But that was it, yeah. मैंने सोचा कि बस यार, I think I need to do this. And imagine from that, I quit that. I remember, did not accept my resignation. He said, I'll keep it. I'll not give it to the company for at least the next 2 weeks. You think this through.
Yeah, figure this out. Find your real.
Yeah. And then that was it, yeah. I just quit. And imagine the next thing I do is I go and I figure out and I join like this one of those, gyms, which was in, I think, in Janakpuri, where I was getting a salary of 10,000 rupees. I would have to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning, go open up the shutter of the gym by like 5-ish. And then open, till 10:30, 11, you do that, shut that, then come back, have your food and whatever, then go and train, then open up the shutter again at like 4:30 in the evening. But then I did that, yeah, and then that was it. Uske baad, yeah, before I know it, I had good like friends who were very kind to me, or I've been very lucky with when I speak about like, people in my life who've been my like, friends, and they had joined, Fitness First, which had just come to India, and they had opened up a massive gym in Connaught Place and the, outer circle. So they, some of them who were working in Connaught Place and CP, they said, "यार, we're going to check out this gym. तो तू चल हमारे साथ यार, देख तो ले कम से कम, हमको बता दे if we should join it or we should not join." I said, "Okay." And I went and I saw this massive gym here. Like I'd never seen techno gym equipment before. It was the first time I was watching these equipments. And then there was this guy, Jamshed was his name, I remember. He was the assistant manager, I think, or one of the senior trainers. And he started to show everybody around. I was there. So then he just started to talk. So my friend said, yeah, our friend is also like, into training and coaching. So, maybe. So they kind of introduced me and he started to speak to me. And for whatever reason, he said, okay, we're looking for trainers. Why don't you come for an interview? So I said, I have no formal education in this because I had a lower back injury while I was playing cricket also. So I had read up a lot on training online, a lot of material that I'd read to just fix myself actually. So he said, no, you just come down for an interview. I went down for the interview. I remember after 2 days, I met Jeremy Chang, I think was the Asia fitness manager for Fitness First. He had come down, he came and he interviewed me, he showed me the gym. And by the end of it, he asked me a question. He said, what do you think is lacking in the gym? What do you think will make it perfect? Then my answer was very spontaneous. I said, trainers. I said, you just have machines right now. They're of no use. You need right people. And that is what's going to make this into like a what it needs to be. So he said, yeah, you're hired. And the next thing I know, he told me what my salary was going to be. And this was the first time that I got introduced to the concept of personal training. So this is very funny. He tells me, you're going to get a salary of like 18,000 rupees, which already like 8,000 more than what I was getting. So I was happy. And then he said, you're going to be a silver level trainer, which was like the first level of like entry into personal training. So I said, okay. And then he said that you're going to make 600 rupees per session and the club will get 50% of that, 50% will come to you. And I'm not kidding. It didn't register to me. This is in 2008 or 9, I think. So I was like, and I kept asking him, I said, you mean for 1 hour of my time, somebody will pay 600? He said, yes. I said, and then you're going to pay me 300 of that. He said, yes. And I asked him like 5 times. So he got irritated with me. He said, I've told you, why are you what is wrong with, it was literally like, what is wrong with you? Because for me, it was unreal. Koi time ke liye for an hour will pay me $600. And I was like, why? So it didn't register, but it just all of a sudden, made me feel like the sky is the limit. I thought I can like do so much. I started to calculate in my head how many sessions, how many hours can I work. And that's it. Yeah, that's how it started. So to cut it short, the next thing I know, I was the number one trainer for Fitness First in Asia for the first 3 months that I worked. I did
And
some
how
over
many hours did you do that?
270.
How many hours did you work a month to make
I
your?
did, yeah. I remember doing like, I so clearly remember my schedule. My first session would be at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I would finish my last session. 11:15 behind the gym and Fitness First. There used to be like a small kopcha kind of a cafe. I would go there, have my omelette and with a couple of like, toast. I'll come back, sleep for like, maybe an hour or so. 1 o'clock, I would get onto the gym floor, train till like,
You would sleep in the
huh?
afternoon.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had like a locker room area, so
Locker
I
room,
would
yeah,
sleep
yeah, yeah.
over there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, come out, start training at 1, finish training by like 2:15, 2:30, shower, have my lunch by 3. 3:34 again start with my session. So 4 I would do a session, 5 I would do a session, 6 I would do a session, 7 I would do a session, 8 I would do a session, 9 I would get done. 9:15 I would be out of the gym, take the metro, go home. I did this every single day for like 3 to 4 months. I was a
So this
top
is
trainer.
easily about what, 8 to 9 sessions every month, every day?
Oh, the Bara session. Yeah.
7
10
till
to 12
9, right? In
sessions
14
was,
hours. Okay, yeah, sorry. In 14 hours, you do
yeah,
12 sessions, 6
yeah,
days a week,
12. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
15
I would
into
I would even like,
25.
yeah, yeah.
Just for rough math, guys. So here's the thing, right? Imagine a guy working 15 hours, including his travel back and forth. I would say 16 hours. Into 25 days a month, he worked 400 hours a month. Now, when I said there's going to be action packed right at the beginning of the podcast, I've only asked Mustafa one question, right? Like, where'd you start? How do you become a fitness coach? And I've already got 4 things for you guys to learn in this. 4. Okay, let me tell you. The first is, let me tell you, which is the latest point he made. He was working 400 hours a month. He made 18,000 plus 300 per session. 1,20,000 bucks in just commissions or your PT income plus his 18,000, one lakh
That's
38, and you.
absolutely right. Let me just stop you there because just quickly, because when I left this job, my mother didn't talk to me for like a month. She said, "You have lost your mind," because I've just studied till the 10th grade.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she
yeah.
did. She thought that I was mad. She said something like, "You're stupid." And I told her, I said, "Okay, just give me about 6 to 9 months, mother." I said, "Just give me that much time." I kid you not. You're so spot on with the numbers because you're the master of that. When I got my first salary of this amount, I remember sending her the information saying, "Look at this. I promised you that I'd make more than what I was making."
Indian mother, right? I mean, you could be Afghan origin, eventually now Indian. Indian mother always worry, वो job छोड़ के risk लेने की जरूरत है. But here's
Yeah.
the thing, guys. 400 hours. It's unreal. I would say it's unhealthy after a certain point and after a certain age. But if you're like in your early 20s, you're doing this. This is your pathway to. Don't think about work-life balance. Don't think about this. First, earn your keep, work hard. This guy in what year was this? 2003, 2002,
Yeah.
right? 22 years
No,
back
no, no.
was
This
making
was the, no, this was,
2000.
no, this was 2009. This was
This is
2009,
finally
9,
2009.
because I
Okay, fine.
quit like everything.
2009 years back was making 1.4 lakhs and he worked his butt off at that point. So that's your first big learning. The other thing, if you realize what he started off was, he didn't get into this with an actual, desire to actually start doing it. What he did was he helped somebody for free out of the genuineness out of his heart, right? He saw this lady. He said, you know what? I think you're doing things wrong. You're not getting the right kind of guidance for whatever reason, right? But he said, I'm going to help you, just genuinely wanting to help another person. That was the trigger in his life where she said, this is what you help, this is what you should probably do. And he said, you know what? Maybe. And he took that call. The third is that you have to take the call. You cannot think about, oh, what about this? What about that? If it feels right, trust me, you will never know your entire story. You'll never know your entire journey up front. You need to know one step at a time. Do it. And then the fourth and most important is, when Mustafa said, are they going to pay me like, who am I? They're going to pay me for like $600 to train with me. Like, that's what we call as imposter syndrome. But honestly, guys, you are in just like doctors who are in curative health. You guys are in what I call preventive health, wherein you're actually preventing any problems from cropping up. So if you can bring about that sort of change in their life, that transformation in their life, even give them a set of rules to live by, even give them a simple plan to do, you're actually helping them. So trust me, when people are looking out for people who can help them, so don't think of yourself as mujhe kaun puchega, right? Go out, genuinely help
Yeah.
people. You will start getting that, and Mustafa's story, which we'll dive a little bit more into, is testament to the fact that, boss, if you go out and help people now, things will happen for you. Cool, cool. So enough, Gyan.
Yeah.
So Mustafa, tell us a little bit about the fun part, right? How'd you get your first celebrity client, and how did all of this happen? Like, how did you get onto this world?
Somewhere, before you get any of the celebrity to train, the one thing that I think your people should know or take away from this is that you cannot prepare yourself for this once you get that person, or once the opportunity comes in. You cannot prepare yourself. You somewhere have to treat each and every single person at the same, level of importance to be prepared for it when the opportunity comes in. I think what happened was that at that time, Chris Gethin and the likings of Physique Elite was like huge in, Mumbai. Everybody was like getting these,
Yeah.
if I could say, the Firangi boys from the UK. And I used to like feel very, not jealous, but I remember telling you also, like, maybe why are, like, Indian trainers not considered at this level? That was my thing. It was not jealousy. It was just that I used to believe that I'm at the same level of these guys, if not better. So why am I not getting this opportunity? What am I lacking? But I kept working here. I kept like pushing forward. And then what had happened was that, as you know, Radhika, my wife, is into, like, she was just starting into, like, healthy baking, and because of me. And we had just started Fitness Bakery back then. And then I think because of that, one of the celebrities who basically was looking for some kind of healthy option, his trainer basically found out about Radhika. And then he ordered through Radhika, and then he was a very chilled out guy, very sweet guy from the UK. And then we just started to hang around. And he was Hrithik Roshan's trainer. But he became very good friends with me. And by the way, that was not the reason for me to become friends with him. It was just that he also, like, kind of took liking to us, me and Radhika. And then I remember all of us going out for, like, these parties and all that. We would get together on the weekend after having this insane load of work throughout the week that we would do. And I remember then he left for the UK. And for whatever reason, Radhika said, "Okay, yaar, why don't you ask him who is training Hrithik? And maybe, something can be done." And in my wildest dream, I didn't think something will work out. But she kept insisting. She said, "No, just drop him a message. Just drop him a message and ask him." So I took my chances. I said, "Yeah, I have nothing to lose, So I dropped a message to him, and I said, "Yeah, Josh, I thought that if you can probably, like, check with him if anybody is training him, and if not, maybe, if I can get a shot at it." So he said, "Yeah, of course, I'll drop him a message." He drops Hrithik a message, and going back and forth, 2 हफ्ते, 3 हफ्ते, 4 हफ्ते, there is no update, nothing. So Radhika said, "Just follow up with Josh again." So I sent him another message. And then apparently it seemed like, that he didn't have Hrithik's new number. And Hrithik replied to him on Facebook. And then he said, "Yeah, of course, I'm looking for someone." And, I said, "Yeah, if you have somebody." And then he sent me the information and the number. And then I just dropped him a message. And then the number that he had sent me was not the right number. So another 1 week, 2 week passes by. And then finally, after like 2 weeks, so this is like 6 weeks of going back and forth. And I had no
There,
expectations yet.
there.
And then all of a sudden, like, he sends me this information. He says, "This is the number, call him, message him." So I dropped him a message. I remember very, like, distinctively, I remember messaging him at like around 10 in the night. And around 2:33 in the morning, he had replied to me that, "Hi, Mustafa, my manager will get back to you." Like, I said, "Okay." And the next day, the manager messaged me at like 10 o'clock. The same day, I went and I met him at like about 12 o'clock. They said, "Can you come down?" So I went there. He came. I think he had just done some cardio. He came and he told me, he said, "I've had these many injuries. These are the things that I'm dealing with. And Josh says that you are the right person for this. So now, what do you think? What can we do?" So I remember telling him, I said, either I can either tell you or I can show you. Of course, telling you is not the point over here. So if we can put this into action. He said, great, can you come down at 4:30? I said, yeah. And I went, I worked, I trained him at 4:30 and that was it. Yeah. After 2 days, he told me, he said, I want you to work with me full time. Can you go ahead and kind of consider keeping me as a priority? And that's how kind he is. He never will say, okay, he was like, he would ask you, you would say, can you come at this time? And that was it. Yeah. My first first client that I get was Hrithik Roshan.
So fun fact, guys. So I remember, we were always talking about doing something together. Let's do this. So and I used to tell Mustafa, like, either we need like 10 incredible transformations that we can showcase, which is what we teach you guys all the time, by the way, or, and then their testimonials, or I think, what, Bombay, I think best would be that one Bollywood star. Aata kaun hai? Hrithik Roshan. Like unbelievable. And I remember Mustafa coming, like I remember this was December 2015, okay? And I vividly remember this. So we had a secret Santa party at my house. Mustafa, of course, was invited, very close friend. We'd already started hanging out a lot before that. And then he comes and he says, Ketan, I need to tell you something. I'm like, what? He takes me to the bedroom. He's like, pata nahi. And he's like, you know what? I signed up a Bollywood star. Guess kaun hai? I'm like, mujhe nahi malum. I'm taking a couple of names who probably might be, an entry point into fitness for Bollywood, whatever. And he says, Hrithik Roshan. I'm like, are you serious? Are you like kidding me, dude? And like, I don't know, this just happened, blah, blah. So I think a couple of good takeaways, Mustafa, was that you said, right? One is that you can't prepare or start acting like one of these top-notch trainers once you land a client, right? While a lot of people may have put you in the right place at the right time, but if you were desperately unrehearsed or unprepared for it, then you wouldn't have got the job anyway, right? You have to have had that standing. You need to have the professionalism. You need to have the discipline. You need to have obviously the talent, the skill, all of the knowledge in any case. But so many of these soft skills that you would have applied day in and day out with your, I would say, general population, regular people like us, that you already demonstrated, as a result of which it just made you a better coach overall, that somebody like a celebrity. And when I say celebrity, I don't mean just because they're a Bollywood or a movie star, but people who just demand more of life, right? People who want a higher standard. This could be just an athlete. It could be a Bollywood star. It could be an industrialist. It could be anybody just wanting quality. And you already had that quality, as a result of which, when that opportunity arose, you're able to take care of it. This is literally like...
Yeah, I think if I can probably say one thing, was that it's also that there are two things. I think one is that you should know your stuff. That helps a lot.
Absolutely.
You should know your stuff, and you should be honest enough to acknowledge what you don't know. I've been very comfortable with that. If I don't know something, I don't try to BS my way around it, fool my way around it. If I don't know something, I'll just upright say, okay, मुझे पता नहीं है, लेकिन मैं पता करके आ सकता हूँ, मैं पढ़ के आ सकता हूँ, मैं सीख के आ सकता हूँ. Simply say, no, I don't know this, but I'm willing to learn. I'm happy to kind of go back to the chart and understand what this is. The other thing is also this here, that when you want to work with people of means, you have to understand that these people they've been through stuff. They know stuff. That's why they are at that level. That there is a reason why they are living, at that point. They are in the position in their life where they are. So, unke saath, your this idea of fake it till you make it and all these things, okay, you'll make it to that point. Imagine if I didn't know my stuff and I got this meeting with Hrithik Roshan, right? But then what? He would have evaluated me within the first 5 minutes that, I'm not the right person for this. You know what I'm saying? So there is no you can get through, things. They say, I'm sure you would have heard this also, that, that you're only as good as the kind of crowd you have around you. So the same goes also the way the clients, if you're going to go ahead and BS your way with your clients mostly, and if you're happy and you're I'm striving, that doesn't mean that you're doing well. It's just that the people you're working with are not intelligent enough to evaluate you.
Yeah,
they don't
they
understand that,
that
you're not the right person. You know what I'm saying? It's exactly. So it's very important that that kind of know your stuff, and you're very honest towards the accountability you have towards yourself. Because if you don't have that, The second you will sit across a table with a person who is a man or a woman of means, within the first, 1 minute, through your energy, through the way you speak, everything, they will just know that this person cannot handle me. This person is not right for me. They are just phony. They're not the people for the job.
Super. And just because I'm your private equity Dimag, analyst Dimag comes out, two more insights here, guys. So, I think, and this was, I mean, and all wives are always correct, but I think Radhika said to you that, ek baar follow up to kar lo. Just check. I mean, not wrong. The follow up comes later, but at least first she said, at least can you ask who trains Hrithik, right? And who's
Yeah,
this thing? Do
yeah,
you even have a chance? And this
yeah,
reminds me of my mentor, whom I actually worked with back from 2019 to 2022, this gentleman called Tim Grover. Now, he took a chance, wrote to Chicago Bulls, and nobody even looked at his, offer letter to come and train them in their strength and conditioning. He also then wrote to Michael Jordan, went for a 30-minute meeting, stayed with him for 15 years, right? So
yeah, yeah,
imagine if Mustafa had not probably chased this lead, he would have probably training a lot of good clients, no doubt. But maybe he'd never have got into that Bollywood circle. So the gold is always in the follow-ups. Nobody gets impressed in one meeting. Nobody gets, convinced in one meeting. You need a few impressions. They need to know, like, and trust you over a few things. Just like you see a
yeah,
repetitive ad, eventually you start saying, yeah, kuch to theek bol rahe honge, right? So you
yeah,
have to follow up. You need to make sure that people know that you mean business. And if they're taking care of you already by talking to you so many times and giving their time, imagine how good a coach you will be after they sign up.
yeah, yeah,
Super
yeah,
important. Next is basically now, you know, you now also started your online coaching, right? It's called Rugby 45, if I'm not wrong.
yeah.
What's your experience with that? And how do you actually do that? How did you actually get into online? Like, you've always been one of those guys on the floor, hardcore energy in person. How do you actually get
Yeah.
your online thing going, and what's your experience?
I think it started as with everybody, I think most of the world started moving online when I think COVID hit us. I think I started with this thing called PlayFit is what I started with, training people online just out of the need of the hour. And that's how it started. Now, the reason why I do it now is because, yeah, I pretty much get criticized a lot, that the general population doesn't have access to me because of my fee structure and the positioning that I'm in, that they can't have my one-on-one time. And a lot of people, most of the people may not be able to afford it. So I wanted to do something where, the general population can have access to my methodology of training, my mindset of training, my philosophy of training. So, which is why I decided to go in and kind of explore the online training world. I did something which was called Primal, which was massively interested. Just making people believe that that you can run for distance, and you can still be built the way I'm built and have good amount of muscle mass. So, and I have always been somebody here that I don't like to I would never sell a product until unless I've used the product and I can endorse the product. So in my line of work, it's the programming, right? So I can't sell
Yeah.
you a program until unless I've not been through it myself.
Yeah, and I
Which is
know,
why
and
I
I've seen
can't.
you actually do this, right? You actually post
Yeah,
about the days, okay, I'm 8 days in, I'm 15, 21 days in, these are my results, okay, now I'm
yeah,
launching this. So you actually,
yeah,
that journey, you know how easy, hard, or doable or undoable it is, and then you actually say, okay, this is what I'm going to make you do. I can swear by it. I mean, then that's legit amazing. Yeah.
yeah. So and that's how I started to explore this. I started to think about maybe how can I reach out to more people who may not have that amount of they don't have the capacity to spend so much, but they do want to train with people who they admire, who they respect, who they take inspiration from. So which is how I started to kind of explore into more into the online one. But my only problem or rather issue is that, like you just said, it takes me some time to create these programs because I go through them myself. I put myself through them in order to understand, that what exactly is going to happen, how, the body is going to react to it, and keep it very honest. Somewhere some days and sometimes I feel like, okay, I'm not getting the same kind of progress that I would expect it. So what needs to be changed? So which is why it does take time. But I feel this is something that if your audience can take away from is that you should not do online training for the sake of it because somebody else is doing really well in it. That's a very big mistake a lot of people cannot do. Which is where I feel like, okay, a platform like yours perhaps may go ahead and help a lot of people, because what happens is that most people see somebody else who's doing exponentially and extremely well, and then they think that, okay, I can do this as well. No, you cannot. It's very difficult. It requires a lot of things. It requires from like setting up like a website, like you help with trainers with, putting in all their information, getting them their social media platforms to be a part of it and everything. Whereas I feel like, if you ask me, I'm lucky that I don't have to rely on it for making money out of it. Like I said, I do it because I want to reach out to more general population. But for other folks who would want to explore this, I think it's very important that that you cannot do this thinking that, okay, somebody else is doing it, so I can also do this. It requires a certain level of strategic steps that you need. And I feel your platform, and I'm not saying this because we are friends or you're a brother to me. I'm just genuinely saying this because I feel like it if I look at it the way that I do it, I do feel like there are so many steps that you have already established which I don't have to now go and deal with, you know
Yeah.
beside the fact that there is a platform where people can probably go and search, and they can find my profile, and then they can explore that option of training with me. So that kept aside, just the fact that that so many things are made so much easy for me, which I don't have to deal with, which I don't have to go ahead and now invest time in. All I need to do is just focus on my work, make sure that I'm delivering on everything from my end. So I feel that's very important. But again, I will say, you have to be invested in it. You cannot do it just because you've seen somebody else, being successful online. Because I've seen a lot of trainers who are extremely good personal trainers in gym. And then they would see somebody else on Instagram or somewhere, like thinking that he is to minting money. Yeah, he's to doing so well. I should do this as well. And then they fall flat on their face because there is no planning. There is no strategic, step by step moving forward, planning to it. You're just diving into it thinking, okay, because I'm great in personal training, this will also pan out well for me. So it's not how it works. I'm guilty of it. I'm honestly telling you here that luckily for me, it is not my mainstream of making money or livelihood. It gives me that opportunity of building a community of people who are like-minded like me. So I'm doing it something, I don't want to sound arrogant in this, but as a way of just letting people have access to me who otherwise think that, Arey, he is to a celebrity trainer and he's out of our reach. So my reason for doing it is very different. But I think it's important for people to understand, that you really have to kind of be strategic and be invested into it. And I feel like the people who have done this, who have done it the right way, and who can utilize your platform, you can understand what all benefits you bring in, how much time can they save, and be invested in it. Don't be like I said, for me to be where I am today, I was that I have to be completely invested in it. it, yeah. When my first son was born, he was a week old when I had to travel with Hrithik. I was traveling for like a month. Imagine missing on the first 1 month of your child's, you're newly born. That's the level of investment I had, done in myself. I was like, okay, it's okay. I have to be invested. So it's the same when you want to explore the world of online training, which I feel, if done correctly, if you use the right tools, you know, you can just be sitting anywhere in the world and just making it
That's the dream. I think many people lured to online coaching by these things where you could be sitting in Goa and working off your laptop, but it's not easy. So I think one thing that really comes out, right, is that this cannot be a Me Too product. It can't be a copy paste saying that, oh, that celebrity coach did it, or this amazing coach did it, or he's got this online coaching platform. Everything is related to what worked for them, right? They probably already had a certain amount of experience training those kind of clients, whether it was a format, right? Whether it's one-to-one, whether it's group. I think Mustafa does it in a group setting, in the sense that he doesn't train people live, but he gives them a plan. Some people have one-to-one coaching clients where they work with them extensively. Some people use a lot of technology, a lot of apps, right? And then some people just create PDFs and sell them online. So you got to figure out what you are doing, do it with a sense of purpose and actually invest yourself. As Mustafa said, like, I mean, imagine his sacrifice at that time when his son was born, right? So those are the few things that you need to be cognizant of, or do it like, with a very, very purposeful manner. Just think about it. This has to have meaning for you. But yes, there is a way to actually crack these things. There is a way to actually learn about how to do this. And you have to have at least basic skill sets. You need to have a little bit of experience on the floor with real clients. You need to learn how to speak slightly better language, communicate more clearly. It doesn't have to be English. हम हिंदी में बात कर सकते हैं, इंडिया में रहते हैं, इट हैज टू बी देयर. बट क्या होता है कि जो सॉफ्टवेयर हैं, दे आर मोस्टली इन इंग्लिश, राइट? सो लर्न अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ दैट. Learn how to send out good emails. Learn a little bit of AI. Use Chat GPT to start writing better, right? We are not, we don't have a lack of tools. But, and AI, as I say, AI is not going to replace coaches or anybody in any industry. But people who learn how to use AI well will replace people who cannot use it, right? Because that is how it's just evolving. It's like any technology, right? Great. So Mustafa, any since we've like taken a lot of time of yours today, any closing thoughts, advice, just insights for young coaches looking to either emulate the kind of success that you have seen in your fitness coaching journey, or just people who want to do well, want to break through a certain income barrier, learn how to coach better. Just what would your closing, sort of advice to them be?
Oh, I'll be very honest. I don't know how this is going to sound. This is my belief. You have to inheritedly be a good person. I just believe that. I think that's what has worked for me. The reason why I say that is because when I helped that lady, right, in the very first instance, I had zero expectation. I just saw someone who needed some kind of help. And I said, okay, why not? I'm capable of it. I think I know my stuff. I can only help her to be better. It's not going to be worse than what she's doing. I've always followed that. I would tell you how I got so many clients in fitness first was because I would just never, ever be on the floor not utilizing my time. I saw somebody, I walked up to them and I helped them. I didn't care whether they were training with somebody else, whether they could afford my training, whether they could pay for my time or nothing. I just wanted to utilize my time. I just wanted to help people. I just wanted to just be that guy who everybody liked, who everybody were looking for when they came to the gym. I wanted to be that person. If I didn't come to the gym, I wanted people to miss me. And I think it came from a place of like, me genuinely wanting to make an impact. And I think if you are inheritedly a good person, you would want to do that. I see this so many times, Ketan, and I think we both should feel so proud that we created a culture in acro that people still miss today. We created those boys that you saw me, right? So I get very emotional because if I saw any of my trainers not utilizing their time in the gym, I would just lose my head. If I saw a trainer not helping a client and just standing, I would say, क्या कर रहा है? And he would be like, ये था, चल workout करते हैं. नहीं मैं कर चुका हूँ sir, नहीं करते हैं. Just because he was standing there and he was not utilizing his time. You've seen that.
Yeah,
We
you
both
made
created
people
that
not just
culture.
work out, but climb the rope, and they would be like, no, I haven't watched it.
Anything.
Just go and do it.
I
Make it
didn't care.
useful.
I wanted everyone to just utilize their time. I did not want to see any of my boys or girls in the gym just standing, which is why we created that standard, which is why people, when they came to acro, I've had people coming to me and saying, are you planning to start something else? Because nothing compares to what you guys had created. And that was what it was. I wanted every single person to just consistently be doing something good, whether it was for their own growth or for the person who's there in the gym. Read, train people, train yourself, but you cannot be just standing, not doing anything and wasting time. So that's the first thing. I think inheritedly, you have to be a good person. You have to come from a right place. It cannot come from the place that I will do this to make money. I will do this to become successful. No, you have to do it from a place which is way more important and larger than that. It has to be more than about you. It has to be about, touching people in a way where their lives in a way where they come back and they're like, what you did for me, is irreplaceable. And that's when you bring in value. That just correlates to like, then people will just pay whatever you will ask for, which is why so many of those people that I help without any agenda, after like, 1 month, like what you said, when you see the repeated ads, right? It's the same thing. When you are consistently helping somebody, two things will happen. One, there is a sense of like, if I may use the word embarrassment, कि यार ये बंदा मुझे help ही करता रहता है यार, इसको कुछ चाहिए ही नहीं वापस. I need to do something, यार. I need to give him back something. Okay, चल यार, we'll train together. Okay, let's try this for like 3 months करके देखते हैं. There is that feeling that comes in. And the second is that people also feel like, if I pay for his time, can you imagine what this person will do for me? So that is why I tell people that when I go to the gym right now, I won't take a name, and Bandra I went right now. Like that's why I feel like I cannot train in a regular gym, because the trainers just get to me when I see them just standing, chit-chatting with each other, not utilizing their time. It just like, just grills my gear, and I'm like, why are you not using this time? I see somebody doing something wrong, just go and help that person. It's okay.
Yeah.
Utilize your time. Why are you just standing? So that's one. I think the second is also to understand that, that you will only get what you work for. You can keep on manifesting works when you put in the work to back it up. You cannot just wake up every single day and meditate for like half an hour, think that I'll get a Hrithik Roshan to train. That's not going to happen. You will have to get out there and then put in the work that is going to be needed, like, for you to go ahead and bring that into reality. I was working my butt off before I signed up Hrithik Roshan, which is why when it happened, I was prepared for it. I was not taken by like, this way, ab main kya karu? Oh my God, I've signed up this person, what do I do? So that ability to back up your manifestation is very important, that you have to go ahead and put in the work. And nothing speaks louder than the work that you put in. I truly believe that. You can talk anything that you want to talk, but if you're not up for the moment, it makes no sense.
Just talking about something, you need to back it up with real work. You need to be good at what
100%,
you do. You need to be productive. You need to utilize your hours. Like this is what we teach coaches on the elite program is you have only
Yeah,
one asset. Like obviously for a skill
yeah,
set, you're trading time for money. Even if you're not a
yeah,
fitness coach, everybody is trading time for money because our time is going by. Now, if you
yeah.
simply divide your monthly income by the total number of hours that you work, even Elon Musk made so many $100 billion last year. He's also traded his 365 days into 24 hours for money at some point. You have to make it productive. If you're just going to be sitting around on your phones, not going to help you for sure. If you're only going to be
100%.
sitting around on your phones, it's obviously not going to help you. But yep, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much, Mustafa. This is amazing.
There's only one thing that I'd say, which was the last thing to like, what you were saying about growth is always, always, always pay it forward. Always pay it forward. Always go ahead and help people in their growth. I am a very firm believer that if you have the capacity and if you have like, the bandwidth of helping others and helping them to get to where they should be in their life, never ever like step back from it. If you, the more you're going to give back, the more you're going to go ahead and like share with people in terms of like your knowledge, experience, and wisdom. I believe in the energy of the universe. It comes back to you multiplied into 10. I'm a living example of that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people have come in my life. I've got people to train with me out of nowhere. I never felt insecure. I still, me, I have zero level of insecurity. I think that, that I'm a portal, and I think I'm here to go ahead and like, give back and help people to reach where they should be in their life. And in that process, I think when you have that mindset, the universe just gives you an abundance. Yeah. And yeah, that's the last thing. Give back, share what you have, share your knowledge, share your love for what you do. It's in a time like today, I just think it's the need of the hour. It cannot just be, okay, what am I getting? It should be, what can you give more? Because then it's just the law of the nature. Yeah, I just feel it's a law of the universe. It comes back to you 10 times in abundance. Yeah. So yeah, that's the last.
I think to distill it down into two words, it's just be good. If you're good,
Yeah.
then you start doing good for others, then the universe pays you back. You call it karma, you call it whatever. I think eventually वो वापस आ ही जाता है. You should go and follow Mustafa on his page. I don't think he's got a dearth of followers. It's called Mustafa underscore the bull underscore Ahmed. So thanks again, Mustafa. Thank you for sharing your energy, your insights, and your unfiltered truth with us. So until next time, guys, keep pushing, keep growing. And as Mustafa would say, it's all about training and fitness, baby. I'm going to see you on the next episode. Cheers.